All right, today we are going to answer the question, should you watch the show Two-Sentence Horror Stories by the CW network? So we're going to do a quick spoiler-free TV show review. At the end, I'll give it a grade. If you're still not sure, we'll go ahead and play a trailer. So a quick blurb of the show. Two-Sentence Horror Stories is an anthology series of quote-unquote terror featuring diverse, primal, and social fears. Every 20-minute episode is based around a two-sentence horror story. Okay? For example, I told her there was no monster in her closet as I picked her up and told her she could sleep with us tonight. I figured that was the safest way of getting her out of the house without him realizing I saw him. So the first sentence is supposed to set up a premise, and then the second sentence is supposed to make the first sentence be viewed completely different, right? That's the concept. It was popularized on Reddit. Normally, I try to give a couple of shows that are similar, that if you like those shows, you'll like this one. I had a hard time coming up with two this time. So the only one I'm going to say is Supergirl, just because the clips I've seen of Supergirl, the execution and the writing seems fairly similar. All right, spoiler-free review. Let's start with the positives. Number one, it's an anthology, and anthologies are cool. They're a very cool form of TV shows. Number two, it has some scenes where the effects and cinematography are done fairly well. The cinematography is not that bad on the show. It's half decent. Third, it's a cool premise, right? Turning two-sentence horror stories into a 20-minute episode of TV is a cool idea. But the negatives, the two sentences almost never match up with the story, and usually they're not even good. So for example, these are taken directly from the episode. Here's one. I could smell their fear. Sentence two. They know it's our time now. That's not a two-sentence horror story. That's barely two sentences. It's rough. It's rough. Here's another one. Knock, knock, I heard. Sentence two. But the monsters had already found their way inside. Again, not really a two-sentence horror story. Really just two sentences. It doesn't do that thing where it sets up the premise and then the second sentence makes you view the first one differently. And also, in that episode, there was no knocking. No one ever knocked on any door. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't really match up and they're not that good, which is disappointing. Which leads me straight to the point. The writing is really weak. None of the episodes really follow any logical sense. Things keep happening for no reason. There's no logical sense to it. Additionally, it's supposed to be a horror show. None of the episodes were scary in any way. It's like a sixth grader tried to make a psychological horror and just failed. So normally, if you have a bad horror show, you at least recognize that you have a bad horror show and put in jump scares. So people are at least they feel the emotion fear at least once while watching it, or surprise. They didn't even add that. So there is literally not a single time watching these episodes I'm ever scared in any actual way. And then the final negative, the second season of the show is extremely preachy. And so while it's obviously good, you're supposed to say something with your show, right? That's what you're supposed to do. And they have good messages, right? It's not that their messaging is bad, but they're cramming their message down your throat. It's disgusting how on the nose they are and about it, and it just kind of puts you off, and it feels a lot more like virtue signaling than them actually trying to make a point. So now onto the grade. So for the grade, I gave it a D-, which is the second lowest tier. I honestly only watched the show because me and my sister were literally looking for bad shows to watch to get a kick out of. So I would not recommend watching the show outside of just for goofs. Unless maybe you want not a horror story, but you want those kinds of ideas without it actually being scary, then maybe that's for you. And so now, if you're still not sure, we're going to go ahead and look at a trailer. And actually, looking at trailers to make this episode, I realized why it's even a show. Their trailers are pretty good. They take all these half decent shots in an episode and clip them all together, right? It's a bunch of half decent shots. It's the only half decent shots they have, and they clip them all together really fast, and it looks good. It looks like, wow, this actually looks like a good show. And then you watch the actual episode and it's very disappointing. But that will be spoilers for the last episode of the second season. So if you don't want spoilers, stop here. If you want to see these reviews live and ask questions about them, be sure to follow at twitch.tv/iconic_mid. Just give a follow there. You can always unfollow later. It's free. And give us a subscribe for more videos in the future. Now, let's check out this trailer real quick.
If you kill him, you'll have to kill me.
This isn't an Indian story. It's all made up.
What if Jeremy and I played your parts for the dress rehearsal? Jeremy, are you okay?
You and I both know that the reenactment is a fantasy. What's the real story?
That is the show. So be sure to leave a comment if you disagree, or if you end up watching it, let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.